I'd like to look at the influencing domain. The influencing domain sits just above the executing domain in this diagram. And the reason for that is both influencing and executing themes are goal orientated. So I'm going to unpack a bit about the difference between the goals that influencing have versus the goals that executing have. Essentially speaking, these are motivational goals. So activated command, communication, competition, maximize self-assurance, significance, and woo are outcomes that a person with these signature themes, if they're dominant, wants. And what they're going to do is they're going to direct this towards people, and they're going to move people towards these outcomes. So the major difference between the executing domain and the influencing domain is the executing domain is around self. This is how I want my world to look. It's got very little to do with other people. In fact, they will be quite frustrated when people get in the way of how they want the world to look. Of course, if they have relationship building themes, they'll be quite nice about it. But influencing really is motivational goals for the collective good. And the idea is that if these themes are going to persuade people to move towards these goals, and are going to create this type of environment which is going to facilitate behavior. Each of the influencing themes, as I've just alluded to, are around creating an environment for a particular type of performance. That's why it's called influencing. These themes have a natural ability to generate a climate in which people are going to perform in a very specific way. Now, both the relationship building and influencing domains are oriented towards emotion. The difference between the two is relationship is about internal emotion, influence is about expressed emotion, and people with lots of influencing themes will instinctively understand how to utilize that emotion to generate particular actions. So let's just go through these themes and I'll sort of show you how this plays out per theme. So activator is around creating movement and momentum. And so a person dominant in activator is a person intense on keeping themselves and their environment and the people in the environment on a continuous movement process. They, in a sense, can quickly ascertain whether things are dropping below a certain level. The level they have in mind is dictated by their other themes. Command is around decisiveness in chaos. It can sense when the energy of the space is chaotic, and that could be brought around by threat. It could be brought about by indecision. Doesn't really matter. It depends on the other themes that surround it. But essentially, command is about taking charge in an ambiguous, chaotic, and potentially threatening situation and providing decisive direction. It doesn't mean that they are clear around the direction in the sense of it being right or wrong. They just know that a decision needs to be made. The other thing I just want to say at this stage is that a lot of individuals have command say they're not extroverted. And I think what's important here is to understand that influencing themes are not necessarily extroverted. I'll show you which ones are. And on that point, let's look at communication. So communication and woo are your traditional themes associated with extroversion. And obviously communication and woo are very similar to each other, and I'll cover that in another video. But communication and woo are around creating the climate for engagement and interest. So both of them by nature are trying to create a friendly, open environment. Communication specializes in language and really around kind of what needs to be said to get people interested. And woo is around generosity and openness and friendliness and helping people feel relaxed and at home. Competition, very interesting energy. It can instinctively sense other competitive energy, and it's orientated around ensuring that individuals are driven towards being number one. And so they can sense in others if they're not competitive, and if they're on the same team, they're going to try and influence those individuals to be more competitive in what they do, which is why it can manifest as a behavior of going, oh my gosh, you are highly competitive. Essentially what they're saying they're not competitive, and the person with high competition is looking at them and saying, you're not competitive and I need you to be competitive. So competition is a very, very intense drive in that sense because it's quite clear about what it wants. The others tend to be a little bit more subtle. Maximizer is around realization of potential. And so maximizer is the motivational element, the classic passion theme, which says seize the moment, become great at what you do and how you do it, devour life, suck the marrow out of your opportunity. And maximizer really is that motivational drive, which says you need to be committed to something and making yourself the best possible version as possible. Self-assurance tends to be introverted to some extent in the sense that it is orientated towards self. It is an energy of confidence, and how it's generated I'll unpack in another video, but suffice to say that self-assurance really is an energy of confidence and assuredness, and people high in it can speak with a level of authority and presence which is alarmingly secure, even if they don't necessarily have any reason to be. Significance speaks for itself. It's around impact. And the idea is that impact is, because it's in the social context, means that that impact has to be measured in the context of how other people have appreciated it and understand it. And so significance really is around measurable impact in people's lives. And if people don't know that or talk about it, then really significance is insignificant. So these influencing themes, as I say, is about driving society and the individual in question towards particular outcomes. So to summarize, activator, we need to keep moving. We need to start, come people. Command, okay, let's make a final decision. Communication, let me share some information with you which is of interest and you're going to love the story. Competition, we need to win. It's survival of the fittest. Maximizer, we need to walk into our greatness and take ourselves seriously. Self-assurance, you can do this. I know that you are afraid, but you can do this, so step up. Significance, we need to leave a legacy. We need to move towards acts of impact, and we need to do something in our lives which impact others and leave a lasting memory in their lives. More importantly, you need to be remarkable and have individuals talk about you. And woo is let's have fun together. Let's enjoy life. What is the point of taking life too seriously? So I hope that gives you a glimpse into the influencing themes. In the individual videos on each of the themes, I'll go into more detail.